Your 20s and my 20s should be bold. 1 year ago, I had to choose between stable job and predictable life and moving across countries to start working in a totally different industry that I didn't even know I would like. And the wrong choice could cost me not only a lot of money, but also years to come back from. But the right choice could change my life trajectory forever. I spent exactly 48 hours deciding what to do next with the system that I'm about to share with you today. By the end of this video, you will have exact 4-step framework that I use with every major decision in my 20s. From relationship topics, from job topics, from deciding where to live in what country, literally everything. And it never steered me wrong. But for anyone new here, I'm Justina. I'm occupational psychologist and accredited coach, and I love optimization and I love fulfillment. And I am currently 27, and nobody tells you that 20s are terrifying for one reason, because every major decision or every decision seems like it's going to be permanent, like it's going to decide about your future forever. If you choose the wrong degree or wrong job, you're stuck. If you move to a wrong city, you're wasting years. If you're in a wrong relationship, you're literally wasting your youth that you have only one. And I used to agonize decisions for months because I love optimization. I wanted to optimize every single decision, and I wanted to be sure that this decision will be the right one, and I don't have to go back or waste time and effort and all the resources I have to make again the wrong decision. And I used to do pros and cons analysis longer than grocery lists. And it was paralyzing me for months or for the time being because I didn't know what was the right decision. And for example, my fiance, he is making big decisions, really transformational, life-deciding decisions in minutes, sometimes in hours if this is some big decision. But you know what? Somehow he always lands on his feet. And then I realized that he isn't necessarily smarter than me, although he's really smart anyway. He just had a system, and once I've learned it, it changed everything. So let me show you. Step 1. It's the future self test. Most of us ask ourselves, what do I want right now? What would make me happy right now? And that is the wrong question. The right question is, what would 30-year-old me advise 27-year-old me right now? Because here's how it works. Imagine that you're 30 and you're looking back at this exact decision. What would older, wiser you say? What would older, wiser you regret not doing? When I was choosing 1 year ago between me having predictable life and moving across the world for another job and new adventure, present me wanted security. We all love our comfort zone and it is so comfortable that we just want to stay in it. But 30-year-old me, she would never forgive me for playing safe, and later on I believe I would be regretting and thinking, what if? What would happen if I actually taken that new adventure versus just staying where I am? The thing with my decision is that I already knew how my life is going to end if I end up staying in the same position for just longer. The life is going to be the same. If I'm doing the same thing, I'm getting the same outcome. So there was no way that I would be surprised about what's coming next. So I chose what 30-year-old me would advise me. She would never forgive me for playing safe, especially when I had nothing to lose. As a 25-year-old at that time, I literally had nothing to lose, comparing to a person who has a house, family, children, and a lot of responsibilities. So me, as a young person, I had nothing to lose back then, and I have little to lose right now as well too. So the choice was basically obvious, and choosing adventure was the right choice. But this future me method works only when you have the right data, which I had in this case. But if you don't, this brings me to step 2. Step 2 is about 10, 10, 10. How will you feel about this decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years? 10 minutes is usually emotionally driven. Maybe excitement, maybe fear, maybe panic, or maybe just feeling like, you got to do this. Like, just click the button, buy the flight ticket, or buy something, buy that course, and just change your life. But in 10 months, reality hits, the emotions fades, and you get a real reality check of your decisions. You're facing day-to-day consequences. And in 10 years is the legacy thinking. What mattered the most in that decision? For example, when I was deciding to move across countries, I was also doing it because of my relationship I was in. So the first 10 minutes, I was excited. There was a romantic vibe that, of course, I need to follow the love of my life. It was also impulsive. For 10 months, I started thinking that if it doesn't work out, I'll be alone in a totally new city, probably also in a new job that I didn't have a guarantee. I will lie because it was in a different industry, and around people that totally don't speak my language or I theirs. And for a 10-year thinking, I was thinking that no matter whether it will work out or not, I would have either an incredible love story that I flew across the world to be with the love of my life, or I would just have an incredible adventure story. That I've done it, didn't work out, but I've learned so much. And when you're thinking this way with both outcomes, I am winning. So I moved, and that was the best decision ever. But even with this method and future me thinking, there is this part of you that fears the change. And I get it. That's why the step 3 is for you. Step 3 is the worst case scenario planning. Not catastrophizing, although I'm sure there are a lot of pessimistic people out there, but more planning, preparing, predicting what can happen. It doesn't have to, but what can happen? Ask yourself what's the actual worst scenario. In my case, the worst case scenario was that I was alone in the city I didn't know. I started a job that I absolutely hated and felt miserable in, and I have to start everything from scratch. The second question you want to ask yourself is how likely it is. Because the moment you are being honest about yourself, you realize that the reality, the likelihood of this scenario actually happening is literally less than 10%. Third question you want to ask yourself is that if this happens, how will you recover? You have to have a plan so then you feel better with moving forward. And for me was just realizing that I would do what I did before when I was moving to England at the age of 18, when I absolutely had nothing and I was working in horrible jobs and I was just starting my life from scratch and I didn't know absolutely anyone. And then I realized that I would just do the same thing all over again, but this time it would take me even less years because I am experienced at this point with that. So it wouldn't be actually that bad. And then the fourth question is, what's the cost of not deciding to do this? For me, the cost of it was that nothing would change. And I knew that I didn't like the reality I was living currently in. So I knew that if I'm not doing anything and I'm not changing anything, nothing will change. And the cost of that wasn't dramatic. I wouldn't die because of it, but I think that I would slowly fade away and my excitement, my fulfillment would be just not existing and I would just be surviving every single day. And I felt like this is too much for me. The cost of it is too much of not deciding. That's why I made a decision. And because of that kind of thinking and because of that kind of questions, I realized that the worst case scenario isn't a failure, isn't me failing doing the things that I wanted to do. It would actually be a regret of not doing something with my current situation. But there is one more step, and this one might be the most important. Step 4 is the energy test. Your body knows before your brain does. When you're thinking about each option, pay attention to your physical response. Does your chest feel tight or open? Do your shoulders feel tense or relaxed? And do you feel drained or energized about thinking about it? And for me, that was clear. Me thinking about my predictable and stable life and job made me feel nothing. Sometimes it doesn't have to be even feeling drained or feeling tired and stressed. It made me feel actually drained, but it made me feel generally nothing. And the new adventure, unknown, maybe a little bit scary, but exciting, that was the thing that I was like, you know what? I should do it. Despite the fear, despite present me trying to keep the security of my situation at bay, there was part of me that just wanted to be driven, that just wanted to be impulsive and wanted to check it out, what the other option is holding for me. You know, I love data and I love science, but your intuition processes data in a different way than your brain, your conscious brain could ever do. So trust it. And combining future self, time perspective, risk planning, and energy checks gives you the clarity. Because here's the truth about decisions, especially in your 20s. There is no perfect choice, and nobody has answers about whether it's a right choice or the wrong one. But there is usually one choice that aligns with who you would want to become instead of who you've been so far. And that choice and that you is trying to break free and get you there where you want to be. Every major decision I've made with this system, from relationships, from job choices, from the places that I was supposed to live and work in, it never failed me. It actually led to growth. Every failure is actually an opportunity and you learn so much. And I am grateful for that. I don't regret anything. I think that I would regret not doing a lot of things. Actually, people regret more things that they didn't do rather than things that they've done. But I deeply believe that your 20s and my 20s should be bold. It's really hard for me to say this because I am, or I used to be, shy and introverted and playing it safe for so many years. But the more I'm thinking about this word bold, the more I like it. It's all about making bold moves that aligns with you and not having a safety bets and later on regretting it for the rest of your life. If you want to try this system now, think about the big decision that you're facing right now. Go through all 4 stages and comment what you discovered. Did your answers surprise you? And if this framework helps you make one of life-changing decision, smash that subscribe button. And if you like videos like this about trying to figure out how to live your life in a more fulfilled way rather than surviving, stay tuned for more videos like this and I'll see you in the next video.